The ending of the Batman Season 1 is epic. I've made it clear by now that I think the Batman from 2004 is the best Batman cartoon. We've seen many episodes that prove my point, and today we are finishing the rest of Season 1. I've gone over the first 10 episodes, and now we're talking about the final 3 of the season. I can't wait any longer. This is the best finale of the series, so strap in. My name is Rocko from Ream Lore, and let's dive in. By the way, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe because we upload videos just like this one on our Ream Lore channel. Bird of Prey, Episode 11. I wanted to do a quick review of this episode just to get to the good stuff, but this episode is okay. In this episode, Penguin is somehow out of Arkham stealing again. Then there is this interviewer who is looking at the life of Bruce Wayne, and Penguin is mad that they aren't interviewing him. The interviewer is played by Kei Soichi, who also voiced the mother in the Q&A episode, as well as many other characters in kids' cartoons. Penguin shows up to Bruce Wayne's home and captures Alfred before destroying the place. The best part of this episode really is Penguin saying that he hates Bruce because he has everything Penguin should have, both being from rich blood. Batman arrives and they fight. Penguin gets the advantage and almost unmasks the Bat when Alfred comes in with the chair. That gave Batman time to recover and get back into the fight and hang Penguin out to wash in the rain, where he would be carted off to Arkham again. Bruce also managed to keep his identity a secret by having Alfred wear his cape and cowl in front of the reporters. Penguin was the best part of this episode, really a standout appearance with great lines and facial expressions. I just love the rivalry between Penguin and Bruce because so often in his life, Bruce is disconnected to Batman, but Penguin bridges that gap. How does this one rank? Characterization can get a 3. The characterization for Penguin is strong and the other characters are good. This just doesn't advance the story that much. Story can get a 1. The story is really weak. What spurs Penguin to go after Bruce was because he was jealous of a TV interview. Entertainment gets a 1. The best part is Penguin, but all the TV interview stuff just sucks the enjoyment out of this. Importance gets a 0. You could honestly skip this and miss nothing. Even the Penguin bits you can get in other episodes. Here we go, the proper 2-part finale. The Rubber Face of Comedy, Episode 12. At the Gotham National Bank, Joker shows up with his minions, with all the charm and charisma you'd expect. What's different this time, however, is he has a spray gun with him that turns the safe into putty. He calls it Joker Putty and he can melt anything with it. He takes the cash but is intercepted by the police. Joker sprays his goon's feet and the police just stand there as him and his minions bounce away. Okay, while this story is great, I have to admit the rules of Joker Putty aren't that clear. I also have to bring up something I don't like about this series, and it's a problem with all of Batman to be fair. There is a meme among all Batman fans that nobody who ends up in Arkham Asylum stays there, calling it the revolving door of Arkham. The criminals are locked up in one comic and then they're out and about the next comic. That transition over to the TV shows and here it is terrible. It's been okay so far. Batman has captured every criminal he has faced off with and the only returning villains have been Joker and Penguin. While we don't know how Penguin got out, maybe it was his minions, there was an in-story reason to how Joker got out the first time. But here Joker is just somehow out of jail, and then as the series goes on the revolving door becomes so much more apparent. Characters who get captured in one episode appear in the next one free as a bird. It is lazy storytelling and it just bugs me because this is not that hard to fix. If you don't want to do anything else with them, lock them up in Arkham. If you feel like you want to bring them back, don't have Batman capture them. It really is that simple. It is just so unsatisfying to see Joker do terrible things, get locked up, and then walk around free the next episode. Now this season gets a pass since that only happened once, but other seasons will not. And that is why I am introducing the Arkham escape counter. I am putting it here as every time a criminal escapes Arkham in the series, I'll add one to the board. And it currently starts out at 3 because Joker escaped twice and Penguin did last episode. At the Gotham station, Chief Rojas is berating the cops for letting Joker get away, and he's kind of right. They did just kind of stand there and didn't shoot him as he turned his car into putty. Rojas is mainly upset because crime has gone up this season and Gotham is now declared the scariest place in the world. One of the officers notes that while he's right crime has been up, most of the people causing these crimes have been captured. But Rojas is not confident because Batman has been capturing these villains, not them. Now he is demanding that the police take down Joker before Batman has a chance to. This is also a good time to reaffirm Chief Rojas is a terrible character. There's just nothing interesting or deep about him. He is the stereotypical angry police chief who hasn't smiled once since he was born. He exists for one reason, to create conflict with Batman and the police. Because this is Batman's early days, he hasn't earned their trust yet. Batman wants to have a good relationship with the police though, so they don't get in his way as he takes down the big threats like Joker or Mr. Freeze. But other than that, there is nothing noteworthy to say about Rojas. He's just a jerk who says things to move the plot forward and is completely useless in a real fight. He doesn't even have funny or cool lines to justify his existence. It's no wonder why at the end of season 2, Gordon shows up and Rojas is just forgotten about and never returns. If I was writing this, since he is such a jerk and hates Batman, I would have turned turn him into a bad guy, like say Killer Croc or something. That way he can be tied into the story later. But they do nothing with him once Gordon shows up. Ethan says that maybe they're going about this wrong, that maybe they would have more success if they tried working with Batman. Everyone here stays quiet, but you can see it on their faces. They know Ethan is right. Just none of them want to stand up and say it. Rojas gets in his face and says he should figure out where his loyalties lie. Back with the Joker, he is tapping into his inner Jack Nicholson as he uses his putty to paint a new face on the Gotham Liberty statue. He actually transforms the face into his face, which is pretty funny, I will say. Whenever somebody looks up, they'll see Joker's face on the statue. Batman shows up and fights Joker's minions as Ethan and Yin show up, where Ethan says he will face Batman himself. Batman takes out the thugs and tries to go after Joker, but Ethan holds him at gunpoint. Batman tries to plead with Ethan that they're on the same side, but the chief has gotten into his brain. Joker stops what he was doing and is offended that the chief of police considers Batman the biggest threat and not the clown prince of crime. He then dives off the edge where his minions were hanging and uses the putty to extend the rope and get to the ground. While they were fighting on top, Ethan accidentally slips and is about to fall, but Batman holds him up while Yin Tarzan swings around to grab him. During this time, Batman escaped and Ethan says that the chief is not going to be happy about this. Dude, the guy's default emotion is angry. I'm not sure he has any others besides pessimistic. With Bruce back at home, he's looking at the photo of him and Ethan winning the championship game and asks if they should bring Ethan into the fold. He says that Ethan needs to know the truth before a time comes when they have to fight. At the police station, Rojas is furious that they let Batman and Joker get away. Yin tries to cover for Ethan, but he says it's okay. Rojas says it's not okay and says if he slips up again, he can kiss his badge goodbye. While having a drink with Bruce, Ethan says he is under pressure and mentions that they should have coffee with Yin. Bruce seems to be ready to tell Ethan the truth, but then they are both called away by another Joker robbery, and Bruce says he will tell Ethan later. Joker broke into the museum and starts rolling around as he steals the gold theater face and uses the Joker putty to turn the frown into a smile. Ethan apparently got ninja skills as he snuck up on the Joker and handcuffed him, although it doesn't last long as his thugs get the jump on Ethan. Later, the police are investigating the scene and Yin has a tracker set on Ethan. Batman later then uses his infrared vision from his mask where he discovers some sawdust on the footprints. At the abandoned amusement park, because of course Joker is there, he is counting down the last of the Joker putty he has. Ethan says his capture is pointless because the chief will never pay for him, but Joker has no interest in ransoming Ethan. He wants to prove to the chief that Joker is the biggest threat Gotham has ever seen, and he is going to prove that by breaking Ethan's mind. He brings out this hypnotist thing and starts mentally torturing Ethan. Batman, analyzing the sawdust, realized it was covered in sugar from cotton candy. Joker continues to mentally torture Ethan, a very thin line between sanity and insanity. He starts losing his mind as the presence of the chief and the traumatic experiences he's had are piling up on him. Joker isn't surprised because bosses are the real tormentors. All it takes is one too many orders to drive someone crazy. All it takes is one rotten day to turn a man into a monster. That last line was backed by flashes of a guy falling into a vat of chemicals, and well, you can see the comparison. This is also where Kevin masters his Joker laugh. Like it was good before, but now it's perfect. Just funny and scary all at once. Batman finally arrives to find Joker's goons handcuffed. Joker starts telling Ethan jokes, and he even starts to laugh with Joker. This is when Yin shows up but is unable to do anything as Joker threatens to blast Ethan with the Joker putty. Joker also says you don't want to know what this stuff does to humans. After Yin drops the gun, however, Joker admits he doesn't really know, but he'll find out. Joker doesn't shoot Ethan as Batman destroys the bottle with his batarang and chases the Joker into a funhouse. Ethan is okay, but he breathed in some of the putty that was in the air. He says he's fine and tells Yin to go after them. In the funhouse, Batman has to deal with popping out robot clowns, and Joker attacks. Batman finds himself in a room full of mirrors when Joker drops this line: "If you think this is confusing, try living inside my head. Through the looking glass, Patsy, where comedy is tragedy, down is up, black is white." This is great writing because it shows the deeper aspects of Joker's character. He doesn't think he's different from everyone else, that one bad day is all it takes to turn someone into him. Black is white, up is down, comedy is tragedy. There is no difference. Batman is having none of it though and bashes Joker down, as the golden smile he stole got turned into a frown. Yin has Batman at gunpoint, however, but lets him go because he saved Ethan's life. Although next time, the mask comes off. Later, the police are loading up Joker and his goons when Joker drops another great line, when he says to Ethan, "Have a rotten day." This was obviously calling back to what he said earlier about all it takes is one bad day to turn a man into a monster. And that happens pretty quickly as Chief Rojas is a total criminal and just lies to the media, saying they caught Joker all on their own. Ethan has had it, however, and yells at the reporter and Rojas that they're on bat cleanup like always, that Batman saved his life. Rojas takes him aside though, bashes him up against the wall, and yells at the guy who was just put through physical and mental torment, by the way, that he let Batman get away and he's suspended. So there you go, Chief Rojas only cares about his image, the look of the police, and not about his officers or keeping the peace. I am shocked that nobody on the creative team thought that they should turn him into a villain. It's all there. An awful person hates Batman, unlikable personal grudge against Batman, being told off by the commissioner later in the series, cruel to his officers, rejection by the public and his department. How did nothing come of this? Yin tries to stand up for Ethan by saying she let Batman get away, but Ethan says it's okay, that maybe the badge doesn't suit him anymore. He goes home to his apartment and gets the water running when Bruce calls him. Ethan was coughing, but he wants to shoot some hoops with Bruce tomorrow and asks what he wanted to talk about, but Bruce says it can wait till tomorrow. Oh no. Ethan goes into the shower, and because of the hot steam, his face starts to melt like putty. I will say this scene right here horrified me as a 20-year-old. What a way to end part 1. Characterization gets a 4. Everyone is really strong in this episode. Ethan, Batman, and the Joker all showing new sides to their characters. The only weak point is Chief Rojas, who continues to prove how shallow of a character he is. The story is getting a 5. The story in this is excellent. It's Joker stories at their best, paying homage in a lot of instances to The Killing Joke, a very famous Batman comic. Entertainment gets a 5. This whole episode is loads of fun with great action, funny jokes, and some drama sprinkled in throughout. Importance gets a 5. This is part 1 to the best Batman finale. Of course it's a must watch. Alright, here we go, the final episode of season 1, The Clayface of Tragedy, episode 13. This episode starts off where the last one left off, with Ethan's body melting into Clayface. This version of Clayface looks great. I love the white look they went with, and the sunken green eyes are a nice touch, along with how well he is animated. His facial features nearly fall off at every point he talks. Ethan starts freaking out, asking for anyone to help him. He starts dripping clay everywhere as he tries and fails to call someone. He rushes outside of his apartment to try and find some help, but his vocal cords turn to clay and it looks like he is a monster. Some officers show up, but Ethan accidentally attacks them. It's clear he has no control over his powers as he hits the cops back. Back in the Batcave, Bruce is worried about Ethan's condition after being tortured by the Joker, when the Batwave alerts him of Clayface. The police actually manage to do something useful and dissipate Clayface into the sewers. It is really sad though, because Ethan yells out for them to stop and keeps asking for help, but no one can understand. Batman wasn't sure of this dissipation though, and goes into the sewers to chase after Clayface. During a press conference, Chief Rojas is crediting the police for taking down Clayface and just insults the guy, and takes credit himself for his zero-tolerance policy against freaks. What policy? All he did was yell at his men to try harder. Please don't tell me this is how actual police departments operate. Ethan heard what the chief said about him though, and breaks into his office to attack him. Batman swings in to stop Ethan, but Ethan leaves as Batman pursues. Chief Rojas then continues to be awful because even though Batman just saved him, he still orders his men to go after them. Batman corners Ethan on a rooftop and they have a great fight, with Ethan mastering more of his powers as the fight goes on, hardening his skin and morphing his limbs into weapons. I should also mention during this fight, there is no rock beat or high energy tune. It's a sad orchestral tunes that fits the tragedy of the scene. It also plays during emotional or tragic moments, and I love that. Most other action shows would put rock beats over the emotional moments because they don't want the kids to feel sad. Like a character is admitting his insecurities and mistakes, but they play some happy tune behind it to dampen or ruin the moment. I always hated that because it's dumbing down the show and talking down to kids. Kids are a lot smarter than cartoon companies give them credit for. They can follow storylines and understand a wide range of emotions just like an adult. Dumbing down emotional moments in shows sends a bad message to kids that everything is happy all the time, even though it's totally okay to be sad or angry. So I really appreciate this show for not talking down to kids who might be watching. Yin shows up with some officers and it just breaks your heart that Ethan tries to call out to her, but she doesn't understand him, and Yin can't recognize him. Yin tells them both to freeze, but they both jump off the building and Batman manages to get a sample of Clayface. Clayface can also fly, apparently. At the Batcave, Bruce managed to figure out that the clay contains human DNA and that Clayface may be a victim. Ethan, meanwhile, crawled back into his apartment. While looking at a photo of his face, he actually manages to morph his clay body to look like himself again. Keep in mind that this isn't his real body or real skin, he's still made of clay. He does manage to morph his vocal cords though, and regain his voice as Yin knocks at the door. Ethan comes out looking like his old self as Yin says she just wanted to check up on him. She tells him about Clayface and how it was near his neighborhood, but Ethan snaps at her. He reminds her that Rojas suspended him and the freaks are his problem. Yin puts her hand on his shoulder and promises to get him back in action, but she got some weird substance on her hand. Ethan shrugs that off and says he's tired and needs a break. Back at the Batcave, Bruce figures out that Ethan was infected by Joker's putty, that Clayface appeared in Ethan's neighborhood, and that he went after Chief Rojas. Ethan is Clayface. At the chief's apartment, Yin shows up to say that Ethan is not right, and Rojas lets her in, saying he never trusted Ethan. Real villain of the show here. This was a trick though, as Yin was actually Ethan in disguise. While racing across the city, Yin calls Bruce, who is also in her car, to talk about Ethan. During the talk, Yin figures out that Ethan is Clayface and sheds a tear for her friend. She makes it to Rojas' apartment, but it's too late as Ethan has captured the chief. Real creepy moment here. Ethan disguised himself as a big officer, and as the other officer grabbed him, we could see the chief's face inside of the guy's shoulder. Batman and Yin figure out that Ethan is going to the Gotham gym, where Bruce and Ethan played hoops. Batman arrives to see Ethan is about to kill Rojas. Here's my question, Ethan. Why didn't you kill him at his apartment? What's the point of dragging him to the basketball gym? Did you want to play him in a 1v1 before he died? Batman says he needs to let Rojas go, but Ethan questions why. According to the chief, they're both on the wrong side of the law. Batman reaffirms, saying it doesn't matter what he thinks, it's the code you live by that matters, and you don't want to cross a line you can't uncross. Yin is also listening to him in the back. Ethan thinks it's too late for him, but Yin says it's not. For a brief moment, Ethan looks like himself, but demonstrates he can morph into anyone now. Ethan says he doesn't know what he is, except a freak. He morphs into the Joker and laughs. You want to know what separates the freaks from the normal? One rotten day. Batman says Joker is rotten by choice, a choice that Ethan doesn't have to make. Yin offers to help as well, but Ethan says Joker didn't just melt his skin, he melted his mind. He's a freak inside and out. Ethan goes to kill Rojas, but Batman stops him. Batman chases Ethan into the locker room, but with the Clayface powers, he is just way too strong. He is about to kill Batman, but Yin shows up and pleads with him not to cross the line. Ethan actually listened as he knocked out Batman instead of killing him. Batman doesn't beat Clayface, by the way. He was way too strong for Bats, and he knocked him out. So keep that in mind as we get into season 2. Ethan can't believe it though. After wanting to bring in the Batman all season, Yin is actually defending him, and he asks the tear-jerking line, "What's become of us?" Then Ethan sheds a tear, but it's not water. He can't cry anymore, it's clay. And then I start crying because I can't handle any of this. Ethan can't handle this either as he turns to clay and goes down the shower drain. Yin was now alone with Batman. Remembering her promise, she reached for his mask and it fades to black. Later, Batman wakes up with the mask still on, and Yin decided not to peek under the mask. Yin confesses that all she has seen these past few months, these last 2 nights, challenged everything she believed in. She realized Ethan was right and that Gotham needs Batman. Batman gives Yin a communicator and disappears. The next morning, Yin and Bruce finally have a coffee like Ethan wanted. They both miss Ethan and are determined to find a cure for Clayface. Yin also says she doesn't want a new partner from the police because she already has one. Bruce responds to that by saying whoever she picks, Ethan would approve. They then see Ethan in the crowd of people, but are unable to do anything to reach him as he disappears. He could be anywhere or anyone, bringing the episode and the season to an end. What an awesome ending! This is how your big season finale ends. No sky beams, no grand plans by the Joker, no big final brawl, just 3 characters with 3 different mindsets coming together and finding conflict between them. It is so tragic yet inspiring and hopeful. It is everything a Batman story needs to be. This is such a tragic way to go about all of this. I really liked Ethan as a character. He was likable, his shifting opinions of Batman was nice to see, his dynamics with Bruce and Yin were great, and it's nice to have someone who knew Bruce as a teenager and was his best friend. I really thought by the end of this season he would join Batman and Yin would be the antagonist. Good job with the swerve. To see him transform into Clayface is just so tragic yet compelling. It kind of reminds me of the monsters from the Universal Monster movies, where they were victims as well as the monsters. This is also the great thing about introducing new characters with no comic or cartoon history. You can do anything you want with them. I genuinely did not see this story coming, that Ethan was going to become Clayface, but here we are, and it's awesome. It's just such a great story and a nice way to shake up the status quo going into season 2. Characterization gets a 6. Everyone is at their strongest here. Ethan's mind has deteriorated because of the torture and clay, and he firmly believes he's a freaking monster. Batman and Yin are also great trying to reach out to him. The story can get a 6. This is such a strong story continuing the narrative from the last episode, and I was super invested from start to finish. A good person and friend of the main character being turned into a villain is always intriguing. Entertainment gets a 7. The whole thing, while not fun because of Ethan's tragedy, is great with the fight scenes, and it's hard to not be invested at this stage. Importance gets a 5. You could argue this is the very best episode of the Batman, and it's the ending of season 1. It's a very important must-watch. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure what I was getting into when I revisited this series, but man am I glad I did. This is my favorite Batman cartoon and rivals the animated series in my opinion. After this 2-part finale, I was so ready to jump into season 2. So if you enjoyed this video, I'll look into season 2. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all later.